Hey friends, thanks for stopping by for another adventure. My name is Ian with Out of This World Reader. I hope you're all doing splendid today, but today's video is going to be a book chat on a new release, and that is going to be Witches Steeped in Gold by Ciannon Smart. This is a new YA fantasy series, and it takes a different spin on just the majority of YA fantasy that's out there because it covers kind of Jamaican mythology and fantasy, and I haven't seen very many books out there that kind of cover this topic, and I have very little experience in that as well. Actually, I have zero experience, but after this, I really kind of enjoy just the take that Ciannon kind of took a spin on and kind of portrayed just this fantasy, and I thought it was really interesting and everything that was going on with it, the magic and how it was all incorporated in it. So during this video I'll just kind of give you my brief thoughts on this new start to a series and just what I kind of liked and didn't like about the story and kind of in general. But before I jump into my thoughts, I'll give you a little bit of background about what's really going on here. This is following two different perspectives. It follows Jasmine, who is part of the Alumbra, and I'm just going to apologize at the beginning of this video for mispronouncing a lot of names and kind of different things, so please forgive me about that. But it follows Jasmine, who is part of the Alumbra, who are the current kind of political leaders of this kingdom, and then we have Ira, who is the Obe, who her family was the past rulers and they were brutally murdered, and then she was kind of hidden away and she's been locked away in prison for some time, and now she kind of is vowing to kind of take back her throne. And Jasmine, her mother, is kind of the Doyenye. I hope I'm saying that right. She's the current leader, and she doesn't like the way her kind of mom is ruling things right now. And she kind of is working to overthrow her mom, and so is Ira. And they both have to kind of work together somehow. They form an alliance, even though they're sworn enemies, to kind of go about this the same way and kind of work together, even though they're enemies. And then they just kind of work together and try and overthrow the rulers. I really just like the plot and the setup for the story in general, like these two different races kind of vowing to kind of take control of the kingdom again, and following these two perspectives made it perfect because they're both sides are kind of constantly clashing. And that being said, it is very political. There's a ton of just different movements and assassinations that kind of occur in the background, and just the whole story in general is just a lot of political movements to kind of gain a little bit of power and take a step into kind of trying to take control for their kingdom, like their side of things. And there's different powers kind of competing in all. We have like the Jade Guild, the Nameless, got some pirates in there, and then they're all just competing against each other, and it's just one giant political intrigue kind of setup. So that being said, if you're not a fan of political intrigue, I might stay away from this book because it is very political heavy. Like the majority of the story, like I said, is just movements to gain control and power. I thought that was interesting though, because just the way I've always been a fan of kind of political intrigue and kind of assassinations playing out in that kind of scenario and stuff like that. So trying to gain control through kind of sneaky, stealthy movements like that has always interested me. Also, with a lot of political books, they are very slow burn, and this one doesn't shy away from that. It is just an extremely slow build until the end, when things kind of unfold and a whole new can of worms is just opened. Like every kind of political step is just another step forward or a step back, and it's just a very slow burn to kind of gain power somehow. And it's just like a lot of kind of anticipation and suspense as to kind of waiting to figure out like what's going to occur from this. But I enjoyed that. I liked sitting on the edge of my seat, kind of slowly building up the steam until the end, when just things just went out of control. I also thought that the magic system was really unique and kind of cool to learn about throughout the journey. In the beginning, like, I was a bit disappointed because it felt like it was just like a giant info dump. The first 50 to 100 pages were just like a giant info dump to me. Like, the author, kind of Ciannon, was trying to just throw everything at me and then kind of slowly later on after that explain it. But if in the beginning it kind of slowed down and just explained it a little bit more, I would have grasped it a lot earlier. But in the beginning, like, it was just throwing at the magic system, what was going on, and then just the mythology and religion as well. So it was hard to kind of get a grasp of it, just everything going on right there in the beginning. But slowly later on, as the kind of things kind of slowed down, I was able to grasp fully what the magic system was, what the kind of religion and mythology kind of entailed, and then what was really going on. So I enjoyed that later on. But if it was kind of just to slow down a little bit more in the beginning to kind of fully explain things, that would have been just a little bit better. But the magic system in general is really unique. I thought it was crazy how the Alumbra are kind of the current leaders, and the Dohenye kind of stores the Obe in kind of these prisons, and then once their time is kind of up, then they're kind of taken from the prisons to their family trees, and then from their family trees they can kind of gain their magical powers, and then they're kind of forced to sign a contract for the Dohenye to kind of swear that they will not betray her, and then they serve her as their kind of shields. And each kind of different Obe has like a different kind of abilities, like they have different scarifications for marking different abilities. But yeah, there's like healers and then gardeners and metal workers, and they all have different scarifications. Like Ira is kind of a warrior. She has a warrior kind of class, and she has different scarifications between her eyes. And I thought that was really kind of cool how they kind of classified themselves by the scarifications. And also, like, the Alumbra and kind of the Obe have different kind of looks to them. Like the Alumbra kind of have the silver hair, and then the Obe are kind of just regular kind of black hair. So I thought that was really kind of cool as well. The two perspectives that we follow through the story, they are, like, in my opinion, some great arcs, and they show great growth through the story as the plot kind of unfolds. Like, there are different people. There are certain people at the beginning, and then at the end they're just completely different people. And I thought that was crazy to just see their journey kind of go from start to beginning and how they changed. But just like following their perspectives, like kind of like, because they're so mortal enemies, and kind of getting different sides of just the political impact. They're both kind of involved in different kind of sneaky things going on in the background, and just getting their kind of thoughts about like what they really want for their kingdom, and kind of trying to do some sneaky stuff in the background. I thought that was added a whole nother level to kind of just their perspective, their growth, and then the story in general. But Ira, since she's kind of like that warrior kind of class, she's just like a fireball just waiting to explode. And then Jasmine is kind of a little bit timid, and she is next in line for the throne, but she feels she's not ready for it. So like they're both kind of just showing different sides of things. And I loved how it portrayed that, just like you have like the coup of the family kind of overthrown, trying to vie and get her power back, and then you have the one that's kind of next in line for power, but she's not sure if she wants it yet. So I love that kind of aspect as well. The world was mesmerizing. It's like a jungle kind of Black Panther. It almost felt like the Ray Bear kind of book, if you've read that too. Like the similarities were there kind of as well. But it just expanded a lot on the world through just the political movements and the missions that they went on to kind of gain power from allies and get allies. It just expanded in the world and showed that. And there's different kinds of monsters and beasts kind of involved. Like there's giant lizards that you ride around, giant tigers, or it's not like tigers, like saber-toothed tigers that you ride around on. And then there's like just different monsters throughout the story, which just added a whole nother level to it as well. I also forgot to mention there's this one kind of aspect to the story that's it's called like the yielding. And basically like these kids are selected, and then they fight each other until the end. And then the final person is called like the yielder. And then they basically are sacrificed to protect the island from the enemies outside. And the kingdom is kind of not on board with this, and so is Jasmine and just the rest of the people. But the Dohenye is kind of vowing that this will kind of continue on forever, and just it's what's really causing a lot of trouble. And it's mostly in the background, like it just not expanded on a little bit. But I thought that was cool, like a little bit of just like fighting for power in kind of a Hunger Games situation. I didn't like a couple things about this. I didn't feel like the magic system was fully utilized. It felt like it was mostly kind of in the background, And I think that might have been due to the fact that kind of Ira is just starting to learn to use her magic. But other than that, like the side characters, like they had their magical abilities, and it felt like they weren't kind of utilized as much as I would have liked to. But that being said, like the side characters, they definitely play a strong role in this as well. Like they're kind of not in the background, like they are involved in kind of the decision making, which I valued as well. But like the magic system, I felt like it was underutilized, and just like the info dump at the beginning, like I felt like that was better explained. It would have been a lot better. Like in the beginning, I was almost considering DNFing it because I was just so confused as to what's going on. But later on, I was able to fully grasp it, and then it kind of I was invested, and I kind of got enjoying just the ride that it was giving. But that being said, I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to continue on with the series when the next book comes out. I ended up giving this 3 stars, and I feel like it's a great debut, kind of covering just a mythology, kind of fantasy that not a lot of people are used to, so definitely give it a try. But that is all for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to leave you with a message from Ellie, who said that adventure is out there. So I'll catch you next time. Bye.